Okay, so we start this adventure today chasing the workings of Cye Cox. This is going to be part of a series that I'm working on, chasing down his wealth. So this is an unnamed claim that Cye had, and it is an unknown depth of shaft. As you can see, the collar is in very bad shape. Let's get a look down there. Yeah, Yeah, pretty caved. It don't go down too far before it's all filled in, but yeah, pretty treacherous. So let's see, pretty good tailings pile though, quite a bit of workings here. Colt and Rachel are joining us today on our misadventures. You know, the last person that probably grabbed that was Cye Cox. Okay, so we have come across a pretty decent mite at it. It's not a huge tailing pile, but is a large rock tailing pile. So they might have hauled some ore out of here. So there's our hole. You know me and mining tunnels, I can't stay out of them. So let's see what we can find with this. We'll get a look in there. Looks pretty decent. Let me get down there and we'll start over. Okay, we just came in through there. There's Rachel. And first thing I want to point out, that's kind of cool. Looks like maybe some flowstone or some tufa right there at the entrance. Quite a bit of mineralization. I don't think yeah, we'll widen it out. There we go. Yeah, so let's see if we can figure out what they were mining in here. This was a pretty short person. We'll look for bats on our way back out. Looks like something interesting up ahead. It's starting to open up now. Lots of rodent droppings. We'll switch lights. We'll go to that light. I think that'll work a lot better for filming. Look at this quartz stringer. Wow. Look above our head. My goodness. Holy guacamole. Modern timbering, at least modern to the 40s. Right here where the timbering is, there's some more, I believe it to be flowstone, but it really looks like tufa. But I think this flowstone has happened over a long period of time. Really heavy mineralization here. Hopefully the camera can pick that up. As we continue, that's a scary spot right there. That boulder has slid down, wedged itself right there in the opening. There's a lot of fractured rock here, lots of holes. This was probably something they had to be very careful of as they were tunneling through here. Looks like they were having to crib as they were going because the fractured rock was falling on them faster than they could blast. There's some green stuff there with a little vein going through it. Nothing remarkable yet. The rock is just naturally white. And I haven't seen much of a difference in stratification, just the flow stone. But somebody went to a lot of trouble to get back in here. So, and quite a bit of ground fall too. There were tracks. The tracks have since been pulled, but the timbers are still here from the tracks. Coming up on a section here that the supports have given away, and another nice sized boulder here wanting to fall through. That gives us a look up through there at all the fracturing that's going on. Oh, graffiti. So we have some miners graffiti here with some of you aren't familiar with miners graffiti. They did this with their carbide lamps. So KOLL 18 point something, maybe 4. Got a little close there in the middle with their torch, but they were using carbide lamps, so that predates the invention of the electric lamp. So they timbered this for quite a ways, and they must have got into some more solid rock. The ground fall isn't near as bad in this section, but I still would not be touching this. There looks like a bit of a fractured hanging wall here, so they must have been heading in the right direction, because you don't get that smooth a surface without with blasting. So it looks like this was a hanging wall that has since started to deteriorate. Again, I'm not going to touch it and test it. I don't want to be a permanent resident down here. So what started as kind of a nondescript tailing pile has turned into a pretty cool operation. So we're going to keep moving forward. As you can tell, if you've watched any of my previous mine videos, I have eliminated all the flicker. So it's nice to have tuned light bulbs or LED lights. So they stoked up a little bit here. There's a little better view of that hanging wall. So looks like they were chasing that hanging wall. Huge boulder being held up with stoles. Took a couple of them, and then they wedged it tight up there with some wood wedges. All right, continuing on. More stoles, more loose rock. A lot of rock just sitting there. And it looks like we might be coming to the face. So we definitely had a stratification change right here. So the rock changed color. They must have been paying attention to that, because they did not go much farther until they faced out. So that's it. Looks like, from what I can tell, they were hand drilling. So there's a dynamite hole that they had started to hand drill, but looks like they started their relief hole and quit. So, alright, we're gonna stop here, let the rest of the group catch up. Ida is with me today, and I've already introduced you to Colt and Rachel. So once they get back here, we'll swap positions and we'll head back outside. Okay, so we're going to start back out. I didn't paste this coming in, but it came in quite a ways. There's a little scribbling there on a board in pencil. Okay, so we're looking at that stope chamber from the other direction now. And they were serious about the stoles. So I would not want to knock one of those loose with a hammer. Okay, so we're coming back into that crib section. A lot of material laying there. They gobbed a lot of material behind us. We'll get a look right up in there as we trek back through. There's that big boulder that's probably going to cause the whole thing to fail. Yeah, I would say this is pretty sketchy. Another good reason why I keep these a secret. Little change in the stratification right there. If somebody knows what the green stuff is in the rock, throw it in the comments. I'd like to know. I'm not very good with rocks. There he is. Hibernating Mexican freetail. Yeah, just a little guy. Okay, so we got ourselves ever so slightly in a pickle, but I don't think it's going to be too bad. To our left's where we just came from, and we're going back down with a beautiful view of the valley out in front of us. It's 31st of January. About 55 degrees today. Beautiful day. A little overcast. Great day for a trip. So we have a cut right in front of us, the looks of the tailings, it's not very big, but that's not the first time I have been surprised. Colt that faces out.
It didn't look like it was going to go very far.
Well, the only thing I was potentially thinking was that it intersected that shaft.
Yeah.
And so they could have made the cross cut from the inside and broke out here.
Yeah.
If you don't look, you always miss something. So that went in 10 feet, faced out. But we looked. If you don't look, you don't win. Well, we're sitting down here by ourselves as the group went ahead, but there is quite a pile of iron ore there. It has solidified, almost like rusty grindings. About a 10-foot hole. I'm not sure where all that material came out of because it doesn't match the strata behind it, so it doesn't look like a dumping point. But maybe there's something hidden there that was caved in. So anyway, we're getting ready to go up and catch up with the group. Had to make a battery change on the GPS so I can keep us on track, and we'll get back with you in a moment. Alright, so Colt and Rachel and Ida have come up here and stopped at this one, but I think they drove by a really cool one. But you know what? I'm following Colt. Maybe he'll stumble upon something really cool. He's over there checking everything out. So he's more adventurous than me today. I'll just sit on the quad and let everybody else do the work. So beautiful little canyon. A little overcast today. Okay, well this turned out to be nothing. Colt walked it. Went in about 50, 75 feet, maybe 100, and faced out. By the amount of quartz here, it really looks like it should have been a very spectacular tunnel, but so it looks to me like the collar failed. Somebody excavated the collar out, explored it, and then the Bureau of Mines come and fenced it. So nothing here. We're going to move on. View of the valley, kind of spectacular. Pretty remote place, pretty hard to get to. Definitely needs to be ATVs. There's not much of anything besides these that can get up here. So we're going to soldier on. We'll pick this back up at the next stop. Okay, so we have another cut here. And it doesn't go very far, but I thought it might be worth filming. Pretty fractured. Let's get the light on. So we have a ladder here indicating that it might have been possible to have a shaft. Got some stalls there holding the walls, and then a little stoping going up. I don't see a reason to explore this any further, but yeah, somebody's pretty serious, but yeah, this is pretty fractured area, so no bueno on this one, but interesting what the old timers did. View of that ladder. All right. So we found another adit. I'm standing outside the entrance. Typical fractured rock. I do have my walking stick because this is not a horrible step down, but it's definitely a lot of ground fall. As we enter, there's a lot of gobbing in here. So they weren't hauling all that much out, but they were definitely gobbing up. Not the cleanest gobbing job but I've ever seen, but looks pretty good. Okay, so we've got some rough cut 4x6, and we've got maybe an old juniper log. So we'll stick to the right hand rule. Very pretty. Lots of stratification in here. There's some of that red rock that we've seen. A lot of rust and stuff. So this one wraps around and goes back to the surface. So we got a little squeeze through right here. So let's see if I can do it without falling to my knees. I suppose that should have been a stop and reshoot, but we made it. So, again, a lot of different stratifying rocks here. Little pocket right there. It faces out. But what is kind of cool is they had a ramp here to pull an ore bucket to the surface. So they were pretty serious with this. It's kind of rudimentary, but it's cool nonetheless. There's a view back to the outside, and we'll get a look back there. No reason to walk back there and see, but pretty decent little stope chamber right here. So they were in here working this. My back just brushed the wall, and I had some deadfall drops, so we don't want to be doing that too much. So no bats. Some rodent stuff. There's been water in here off and on, so let me get through that low spot. I'll pick it up on the other side. So this is probably a good place to talk about safety. There's nothing safe about these. Some of these are over 100 years old. You look around behind me, a lot of loose rock. You can't be in here making a lot of noise. You need something to keep your head out of the ceiling. There's a lot of pointed rock sticking down. Depending on how deep I go, I've got a pair of safety glasses here on my pocket, but this one seemed pretty small. So we're going to go ahead and explore it the rest of the way out. But safety. If you don't know what you're doing, it's best to stay out, stay alive. I've been doing this a long time. Don't take chances. I've had training to do this. I've done training to bar down, or what some people call scaling. You know what to look for. You know what could potentially fall. If you don't have that kind of skill, especially being taught by somebody that knows what they're doing, stay out. By all means, enjoy these YouTube videos. That's what I make them for. So we will carry on, see what the rest of this tunnel looks like. So we're back to the main tunnel, back to where all of that really large gobbing is. Wow. So there's where we just came in. And we are going to continue this trip around the corner, make a quick light adjustment, get back to our main light, and there is a hanging wall. Now, it looks like this tunnel may have went on. There's a lot of silt here, and it looks like it could face out there, but somebody was definitely digging. But this is an awesome example of a hanging wall. So all the good ore that they were after is on this side. So they were picking that out, and if you look, you can see the stratification going right along that hanging wall. And this is all hanging wall. You can see it. See right where the fractured rock hit the main body of the fault. So this is a pretty cool example. I will drop the light down one notch so everybody can get a look at the different stratifications. So as you can tell, we're not very far in here. It just kind of played out. A lot of fracturing right there. That was definitely something, if you were coming in here to be serious about, you would definitely want to scale that. Bar that stuff down, get it out of here. Rest of it seems to be holding together decently. Been here for a long time. Could fail at any moment. So we're going to make our way out, and we'll see you back on the outside. There's our way out right there. Alright, well, Colt led me to another one, and after some struggling down the ramp, this entrance splits three ways. So we come this way, and it cuts around to the left, and then there's a bit of sunlight coming through, and looks like they were stoping out there. You can see the pick marks from where they were doing this by hand, and that is not a shear wall. That's just where they were scraping material. So that's some old stuff there. Still very fractured. You don't want to be messing with that stuff. And they've left a small platform here to hold the mountain up. Very smart of them not to take the rock out of there, or this whole section would come down. Let's see if Mr. Rodent's at home. Nope, Mr. Rodent is not home. Alright, so Colt is waiting for me. He wants to make sure the old fat guy don't die in here. So our left passage, well, we'll stick to the right hand rule, but I can already tell our left passage don't go anywhere. Pretty good cut down through here. And I got pretty winded getting down here, and I'm not so sure I'm past being winded yet. Alright. So we'll pick up where we left off. There's where we came in. And Colt has walked ahead of me. So I'm going to walk down through here. He says it faces out. But I want to give you all a view of it anyway. Because no tunnel goes unexplored. This mountain is so strange for changing stratification layers so quickly. You're in white rock 1 minute, and then you're into not really good looking stuff, but different. Not seeing any mineralization, and I would imagine they didn't either. And so they gave up. And this area has a lot of pretty serious adits that just go to nowhere. So I'll use Colt as a size comparison to the size of this mine as I catch back up to him. And unless I find something exciting hanging from the ceiling, we'll head out of here and get back outside. I want to add, this is where we just came out of. So went in there a little ways. There's another cut there that went through to another spot, but I've already showed you that. I need to hike up there to the top of the hill because there sits my quad. I have elected to climb up this wash. Looks like it'll be easier than what I did before and slid down the tailing piles. So we're gonna find our way up there. Anyway, if you like these adventures, want to see more of them, smash that like button, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and that will be an indication that you like what we do. So at this point, remember, no matter where you go, there you are. Thanks for watching.